Hi, I'm Robbie, LOSTLVLS, and today I was inspired to make a little video about something I do on a piece of kit called the Oxi One. Now, it's a really cool little sequencer which I've used since I kickstarted it a few years ago. Disclaimer, I did pay full price for this. I'm not on the payroll for Oxi at all. I've spoken to the guy behind the company, Manu. Amazing guy, but I spoke to him as a customer, not as anyone that gets paid for their work, shall we say. So the hardware device itself is this is the Oxi One, and I just kind of wanted to show you something that I do with the Oxi One, which is to generate really funky bass lines. Now, I do like making a little bit of sort of funky, groovy, jazzy house kind of thing, and the Oxi One, the way that it generates, you can make it to generate bass lines that have this real kind of movement and kind of human aspect to them, in a way, like with a mixture of the swing and, well, I'll show you, but I really love this thing for that purpose of making bass lines, among many other things. And I just wanted to show you what I do with it to generate bass lines in a kind of a groovy, funky house kind of way. So here we go. This is the Oxi One MIDI sequencer. This is currently set up to receive clock from Ableton Live and send notes to Ableton Live. Track 1 is set up to be a drum track, so a multi-track sequence. Track 2 or sequence 2 is set up to be sending notes as a mono synth, and it's a mono track, so monotype and multi-type. And the bass in question is Monarch from Native Instruments, which is one of my favorite bass synths. Okay, so I'm just going to press play on Ableton Live so that the Oxi One gets started. Now, nice 4 to the floor kick, 909. I'm going to show you what I do with bass. So as I say, this is currently the bass synth will be receiving notes from the Oxi One in the key of C pentatonic minor. Pentatonic minor, it's a pretty unfussy scale. It just works really nicely with simple house music, so I like to use it. You can get all kind of crazy with Phrygian mode and all sorts, but you know, pentatonic minor, it hits hard, man. Okay, so I'm going to generate a pattern. So all you need to do is hold shift and press the little dice symbol, and just to quickly go over the settings. So I've got it on +2 or -2 from the root. So this basically means that the range of the notes is +or -2. Yeah, so it can go up or down by 2 notes in the C minor pentatonic scale when it creates its patterns. 50% of the notes that are created will be ties, and it has a density of currently 90%. So 90% of the grid will be filled with notes. So let's see how that sounds. That's pretty funky. Let's just open up that filter a little bit on the sequencer, on the bass synth, just a little bit. Just want to hear it that little bit more. There we go. Cool. So we've instantly got quite an interesting sounding sequence. So let's spice things up a little bit. So I'm going to make the velocity +20%. Actually, I'm not going to do that because this particular patch isn't responding to velocity. But if you are using a bass synth that responds to velocity, that's a really nice control for it. It's just this particular patch in Monarch doesn't do that. So, octave. Now, if we change that to +2, maybe 10% of our notes are going to be playing either an octave above or below what they originally were on the sequence. So that adds some nice variation. Also, sorry, for house, obviously you want your swing. So I like mine set in the late 50s, early 60s. 62 is quite a nice place to be if you want a bit more swing, or 58 if you want it to be kind of just held back just a little bit. Okay, so where were we? So we've got our random perform mode. So you get into random perform mode by pressing the dice, not holding shift and pressing the dice, just pressing the dice so it goes white rather than blue. Okay, random perform, where were we? So 100% trig. So what's the probability of each note triggering 100%? Let's bring that down to 80.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool. I think the actual synth needs a little bit more decay on it, perhaps. There we go. Yeah, so anyway, so 80% of the time these notes are going to trigger, so 20% of the time they're not going to trigger, which you can bring that right down, bring it down to 33%, and it's very unlikely for it to trigger. Or you can kind of, this is actually a destination that you can modulate in the internal modulation settings if you want. Apply an LFO to it, so it is random, really random, and it's really nice actually. But I said it's 80%, 75%. 70%, right. Now, along with this, what I really love to do, and this is the setting that this is a function that Manu at Oxi Instruments actually incorporated for me when I asked him to do it on the Discord. He made a new firmware that had it straight away. I was like, wow, that's incredible. So this is called fixed. This is a type of step logic, like a trig condition called fixed. Now, what fixed does is whatever note is set to fixed will always play, always, regardless of how you have your trig probability set up. So if you listen to your sequence and you find 2 or 3 notes that are crucial for that sequence, like this is kind of the crucial one here for me, this one. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to change the condition to fixed. Now, even if I bring down the probability to 0, that note will always play, and that one, because I also set that one to be fixed. You could hear the octave changing on it as well there because of the octave plus minus. So yeah, it lets you have a bit more control over things whilst also getting quite random with it. So it's a really, really nice way to rein things back in. Now, if you ever listen to that, it's kind of sloppy and it's missing notes and it sounds. I just love that. I love how kind of human it is. I mean, if your human bass player was missing notes, you probably want to fire him from the band. But you know, you can create loops with this. You can record this stuff into Ableton Live as clips, as MIDI or audio, and you can sort of cut out your favorite bits. You can take maybe a few bars from it and have that as your loop. And it's just so cool to be able to do this with a piece of hardware. I've not found anything that does this. Not quite like this. The closest thing is Elektron hardware, of course, but there's differences. This goes deeper than that. And there's nothing wrong. I love Elektron stuff, don't get me wrong, but this takes stuff to very interesting places that Elektron don't currently do, and nothing else that I know that I've used does. So yeah, this is. I'll tell you what, let's make a new sequence just to explore it a bit further. So let's make a new sequence. Let's change the scale. Let's change it to harmonic minor. Make a new one. Okay, that's interesting. Just changing the settings a bit there. Let's change that again. Okay, I'm not really feeling that scale, to be perfectly honest with you. I mentioned Phrygian earlier. I really like using Phrygian to come up with weird techno sounds, bass lines and things. Let's stick it on, why not? Let's choose what notes we want to have fixed, so I'll fix that one. And that one. You can also add notes, like if you want to. There's nothing stopping you. You can of notes, get rid of other notes, you can add ties in. You can also change the velocity of each note. Again, that's not going to make any difference on this patch. That's cool. Let's get some different type, let's get some more drums in. And of course you can always go in and turn the trig probability right down. Bring it back up again. So cool. Highly recommend.